they're like really in favored for LGD. However, in game 1, CDEC showed that they have the potential to easily take a game off LGD. Game 2, however, LG just struck back and showed CDEC where their position is. We are pretty much on a 1-1, everything is tied, and we go into game number 3 where everything's open.
Yeah, and we'll just have to wait and see if we're going to have another Broodmother. In game number 1, it's what won the game for CDEC. In game number 2, it really was quite a hindrance. We're going to see Gyrocopter and Bounty Hunter for the first time in this series banned, and they'll join Tusk and Leshrac in those banned slots. It's going to leave a lot of very high-tiered heroes available for CDEC to take their pick of choice from, and they're going to snag the Undying.
Yep, Undying. I mean, we always, in every Chinese match, we have the Tusk being banned out, Undying banned out, and then they follow up with the cores. This time LGD, they decide to go for the Gyrocopter, which is a normal core ban, on the other side the Leshrac, so that's completely normal. The Bounty Hunter, however, is kind of the odd man out here that goes against like the usual structure we have of the Chinese scene. That means Undying comes through, aka we have amazing laning for CDEC potentially. Tombstone is just horrible. It's like the pest. You don't get rid of zombies. The zombie army is really stacking up, and you have no idea what's coming. Like, you cannot run, you cannot fight. Especially early game, getting the tombstone down is kind of hard. You really have to commit to it. By the time you kill the tombstone, you're also dead. You can also get on top of that a spirit breaker. So the 17% wonder is coming out. Especially on like early games on the Shadow Fiend, it might get interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. LGD Gaming gonna stick to their guns and just what's been working for them in this patch in general. Yeah, there is some flexibility as to which lane these heroes are going to go to, but probably just a safe lane quap for Sylar and a mid Shadow Fiend for maybe. Although there is always the option to have them switch roles. They're both capable players in the mid lane and safe lane alike. Next couple bans gonna come out with Clockwork Dazzle banned up by CDEC. No big surprises there, and Lena banned up by LGD.
Yep. So I think there's gonna be even another core following up, simply because they came out with the Undying and the Spirit Breaker, so we just get one support on top of that and 2 cores, which means I think LGD, they are completely fine with just ban the rest of the cores. Leshrac is already out. Storm Spirit would be a candidate to ban, because out of all the magical cores, we have the Lina, the Queen of Pain, and the Leshrac already taken or banned. But yeah, they leave the Storm Spirit in the mix. Instead, they go for a Bloodseeker. Okay, that's also something I can understand, but I really think we're gonna have a CDEC Storm Spirit here, because it's just too good of an opening for them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's really nice to setting up kills with the Spirit Breaker, and works pretty nicely against the Queen of Pain and Shadow Fiend in the mid game. But in the laning stage, both the Queen of Pain and Shadow Fiend are more than capable at crushing the Storm in the right hands and given the right interruption coming out from the support. So unless there's a lot of heavy roaming coming out from CDEC, that could be risky. Just come to the lightning stage. Winter Wyvern, let me pick up for LGD, one of the supports that's pretty much omnipresent. If it's not banned out, it's probably going to be picked. I don't think there's really a situation where it's a bad choice. It's just such an amazing defensive hero.
Yep. So Winter Wyvern, Shadow Fiend, Queen of Pain. I mean, this already looks like a draft from heaven. It pretty much goes along the standard lines what we have right now. See, they actually don't give away their cores, which is pretty interesting. So we're gonna have a Witchdog on top of all of that, which is a nice mix, to be honest, because like a Spirit Breaker initiation, Tombstone, a lot of zombies, the coconut flying around, interrupting those people who might actually want to take out, say the Tombstone. But then again, on the other side, I mean, Winter Wyvern is really the hero that ruins your day in every single fight. You think you have the upper hand in a fight, suddenly Winter Curse comes out, and you suddenly rape your own team, which is of course always a bad thing, especially if you have a heavy core right next to you. You get the Winter's Curse, and you get all the hits there. That's yeah. And not to mention the Cold Embrace. Cold Embrace against targets that work a lot with right clicks with physical damage. That is really, really bad. So it's nice against the Witch Doctor, for example. It's nice against the Undying, who has high stacks of decay. And of course the Spirit Breaker also can't really do anything against it, which means getting something that would, for example, take out a Cold Embrace target would be nice. But Lina Laguna Plate is already out. Drafting a Lion now is not really the right thing to do, obviously. Unless you play some weird form of Spirit Breaker core, I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. CDEC, I think they feel a bit cornered in now with this draft.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. The Crystal Maiden now for LGD is going to be pretty annoying for the Spirit Breaker. I'm dying to work with, and Now we have an Ember for CDEC. Another pretty interesting pick, although I think I'm okay with this Ember. There's not any super hard lockdown that LGD can throw at him outside of the Winter's Curse. Although an Orchid could potentially come up for the Queen of Pain. I'm not sure if that's going to be the pickup, although now it looks a lot more attractive. Ember, given the right amount of space, could be a force to be reckoned with for CDEC, but in lane is just so weak, in all honesty. The lanes from CDEC are definitely going to suffer.
Yep. So the Ember Spirit versus Queen of Pain and Shadow Fiend. So I don't know. When I think about it and the rate of CDEC of farming and everything, it's I think that Ember Spirit just takes too long to get online. By the time he is online, that game actually might be already in such a bad shape that he won't do much. But maybe I'm totally wrong, and with a strong laning and a strong roaming by a Spirit Breaker, they can actually go for something. The good thing is Crystal Maiden comes out on the other side, so that at least one target that's easy to take down. Well, still, that's just one target. The rest will be quite tanky. The last band's coming out, Earthshaker. Okay, that's understandable, as well as the Viper. LGD guessing that they wanted to go for a second core that is very tanky. I think the Viper guess might have been not even so wrong. Like, that could have been really something CDEC is looking for.
Yeah, probably one of the most annoying heroes to lane against. It's still in the pool. Leshrac might have taken that seat away from him in another day or time. But Queen of Pain and Shadow Fiend should be able to cover that mid lane 9 times out of 10 if it isn't for that Viper pick. So I think CDEC are going to be hard pressed to find a hero that's going to be well equipped to deal with this LGD laning phase. The only question is what LGD are going to throw into their offlane. With most of the top tier offlaners already banned out, it's going to be a Centaur for them.
Wow. Okay. So we have, yeah, Queen of Pain mid or Shadow Fiend mid. They can do either or. LGD plays both. Winter Byron, Crystal Maiden, like they can go for whatever. The Crystal Maiden can even say hello to other lanes if she goes Frostbite first. Or we have the Winter Byron just visiting mid, for example, with the Arctic Burn, which is quite commonly used at the moment as a harass tool. Center offline, that's also fine. Especially like these heavy fights, if you have to survive like the initial onslaught, especially with the tombstone and everything, the center Arcanum Scepter here later might be a very interesting choice, because I mean that goddamn Arcanum Scepter makes you almost invulnerable for a relatively long time, enough to really just stand still, go for the damn tombstone, and then go for the rest. So I kind of like the centaur pick.
Yeah, I like it too. It's really good at disengaging against Undying's Tombstone. I think most importantly, it's going to help LGD make sure that they take safe engagements. And as long as their positioning is good, these fights should go pretty smoothly for them. I want to say CDEC have a lot of heroes that are good at punishing when heroes get into melee range, but Queen of Pain, Shadow Fiend should all be able to keep their distance, and especially when they have that extra positioning to with Stampede. I think they're in a pretty good spot this game. The only X factor, at least for me, is how well the Crystal Maiden is going to do. She's a hero that, if she can get an early advantage, can do a ridiculous amount of damage inside the team fight. It's kind of akin to a support version of Sniper, if you will, but last pick up for CDEC is going to be a DK, and I really just can't get behind it, I don't think. It's going to mean that CDEC are running with 4 melee heroes against a Queen of Pain Shadow Fiend. Their lanes are going to be at an innate disadvantage, and a very hefty one at that. There's a lot of weight on Spirit Breaker's shoulders to set up kills. If the status quo remains and LGD are just allowed to play their game, the favor is definitely in their side.
Yeah, it pretty much looks like it. I'm also not a fan of CDEC's draft, but I can also see where it has its advantages. Again, strong laning with the Undying. We have a much stronger roaming by CDEC. Plus minus some lucky bounces if the Witchlock hopefully gets some decent levels at some point. I can also see the clutch fights happening with the Death Ward coming up. For the Dragon Knight, yeah, well, I don't feel too confident about this one, because early on, I mean, the Dragon Knight is never like a damage bomb. That's the biggest problem. He needs quite some time to build up the damage. The tankiness is there by nature, just because he starts at a high base armor. He goes for the Dragon Plat, gets the armor and the HPS. The only burst damage is really brief fire, but of course it's also fairly limited because he doesn't have too much of a mana pool. That's like translating in 2 or 3 brief fire per fight. The only good thing is they can do some early pushes, and LGD maybe not be able to like defend it for at least the tier 1 towers, some of it. That's the only thing I can really see. off feet of the Crystal Maiden somehow. Anyway, let's really introduce them fast so we can get into the game.
Yeah, for the LGD side, we're going to have Sylar looking to go offlane on the Queen of Pain, walking into 5 enemy heroes, so this is very awkward, but since she hasn't spent a point, she'll have Blink if she needs it, and should be able to survive the Winter Wyvern, going to be played by MMY, Shadow Fiend in the mid lane by Maybe, Crystal Maiden handled by Xiao 8, and it looks like a safe lane Centaur by Yao.
Okay, that's very, very interesting. I did not expect this, to be honest. On the other side, well, the one in charge of roaming is of course Axie here on the Spirit Breaker. Behind them there is the rest of the gank train. That's Kion, the Witch Dog. We have Shiki playing the Dragon Knight, or aggressive on the Ember Spirit, which seems to be the safe lane one, and Garda is on the Undying. Very interesting, I have to say. Very, very interesting. The laning choices of the teams, as well as like the drafts, and I want to see how CDEC's plan unfolds, because as for LGD, except for the Crystal Maiden, everything, I mean, even the Centaur is a tiny bit off the meta at the moment, but other than that, it's completely standard, and you can definitely see what kind of plan is behind it for CDEC. Well, there's a bigger question mark for me, but let's see. The laning gets started. It was a 50-50 split on the bounty runes, so no crazy action whatsoever.
Central Road going to be placed out by the Winter Wyvern, but narrowly is going to not, deward that Observer that was placed in the lane for CDEC. But even so, I think this offlane Queen of Pain could very easily work out for LGD. She can apply a lot of pressure to the Ember, and it's going to force the Undying and Witch Doctor to stay in lane for the majority of this early game. And whenever they leave, that's an opening where they could go aggressive onto the Ember, and if they stay in lane, they're going to be, I don't know, very strapped for experience, and Dying and Witch Doctor that don't have their levels can't really accomplish much of anything, although Decay is going to hurt the Queen of Pain a lot here with no points in Blink.
Yep, I mean, right now they do a good job just zoning them out. I'm just wondering how long they are gonna be able to do this. The Spirit Breaker being alone in the lane and the Centaur like pushing it even a tiny bit, that's of course a good thing. Then again, the Centaur doesn't have to fear the Spirit Breaker too much. So I think that's kind of even lane in the mid. Well, you see the Shadow Fiend already playing pretty aggressive, just using his advantage he gets by default, just being ranged versus melee. However, well, the Dragon Knight has bottle. We have the Shadow Fiend, well, not going for a bottle at this point. Well, he's still...
Garter dropping very low in top lane. LGD going to exercise some restraint, not dive into it. Queen of Pain, if she had both the Blink and the Shadow Strike, I'd be tempted to say that could have been our first blood, but just the power of that Arctic Burn is shown in top lane.
And the DK giving up the rune, he just didn't want to run in that setup, because also on the other side there would have been an Arctic Burn. Actually no, it's still on cooldown, they just used that top, and well, there's a stun here on the Queen of Pain. She finally actually skills something, but look at the damage. That damage was completely real on the Queen of Pain.
Yeah, it really was. Top lane seems to be the place to be if you're looking for aggression. Down in bottom, the Centaur versus Spirit Breaker is pretty even for both sides, in all honesty. The CM has been playing mostly a hands-off role in that bottom lane, but now with the DD and a smoke, they're going to get the slow onto the Dragon Knight. With double raises connecting, they just need a little bit more DPS. Can they get in range for the Frostbite? No, one right click from the CM! She gets it. Xiao, the double damage value there. If there was not the double damage rune, that's not a kill.
I can't even believe it. Like, the Crystal Maiden already level 3, she was jungling, only jungling so far, and like getting killed by a Crystal Maiden as a DK especially, I think there is no worse humiliation on this planet or in this game. So yeah, that's of course a nice one. The double damage helped, granted, but still, like, so Dragon Knight going down and Crystal Maiden actively helping to make Shadow Fiend win a lane where he was so far not doing that well, like not the crazy advantage we were talking about. And oh, bottom, I think I should go on the Spirit Breaker because the Queen of Pain rotated already in. That's just a level 2 Queen of Pain. She just blinked in, just Shadow Strike, and the Centaur pretty much just did the rest. So yes, also the Spirit Breaker going down. 2 kills for LGD.
A small game of musical lanes. Looks like they're going to rotate the Centaur into the woods a little bit, or just throw him into the top lane. Now that he has his Tranquil Boots, he can survive pretty comfortably up against the lane in top, or he could just double-edge jungle. It is something that you can do fairly effectively. And Centaur, it looks like he's actually holding a point. He's level 5, 2-2, and not yet decided to commit to return.
Yep, pretty much. And bottom, well, there is a charge on the Queen of Pain, but she's already under the tower, so that would be too deep of a dive, way too early into this game. 4-minute runes are spawning, and, well, the center, actually a quite dangerous rune here for CDEC, because, yes, he's looking at the haste, but they want to give it to the Shadow Fiend. To be honest, I think the center being on that rune and then stunning the Dragon Knight in the mid might have been an interesting move. So the Shadow Fiend just can go for like nicely set up raises, but they choose to just give the Shadow Fiend the haste rune, and that's pretty much it.
But then again, it might catch the DK off guard. They back up and smoke with the centaur and the CM. So without that haste rune on the centaur, Shiki is going to feel a little bit more comfortable in this lane. Although, I say a little bit more comfortable, he's still hugging the bottom side of this ramp. And that might be enough to keep him safe. If a single disable lands, he's going to end up going down. And let's see how greedy he's going to play. Oh no, he walks right into Xiao Wei. They'll have the Frostbite, they'll have the Double Edge, and the Hoof Stomp follow up with one raise. Shadow Fiend draws another kill. Or another kill in the mid lane, I should say.
Yep. DK going down the second time. The rotations here at the moment working out, and you were asking of the value of the Crystal Maiden. She's doing absolutely fine. Responsible for the first blood, allowed to follow up on the DK, and she is level 5. I mean, it's a level 5 Crystal Maiden, and she's probably gonna get the second level 6 here on this map, simply because she's just farming a jungle at the moment who is closer to that level 6 than she is. It's really just the DK and the Ember at this point, but oh, Witch Dog, where's the Shadow Fiend? The Shadow Fiend doesn't have his haste rune anymore, but still, with the raises here, right clicks and raises, is that enough? And the last one, oh, he was dodging this one, but one more right click, no! The Dragon Tail is coming out, however, still, he's dying to the creeps pretty much, the creeps finishing off. Okay, that was hilarious. We have a second Dragon Tail in 4 seconds, there's also the charge, and I think this one should just do the trick here. Yes, look at it, Golden Base just buying some time, but overall, I still think we have this. Well, there are the chains. It should be enough for a kill. Now, the problem is they're in a kind of awkward position. However, Crystal Maiden is coming in, and look at this. There's the charge on it. There are the coconuts bouncing. That's 1 kill. That's 2. Before the Spirit Breaker even goes down, the Spirit Breaker, well, probably gonna get killed by the Queen of Pain here, but she's actually getting stunned at this point. Has no blink. She really wants to be greedy there in cooperation with the center, using his ultimate. But yeah, CDEC actually having a good fight on the edge.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, very close call, but that positioning inside the river area was so bad for LGD once they lost the first hero. As soon as the Shadow Fiend goes down, Xiao 8 is surrounded by 3 heroes. As a Crystal Maiden, that's never a situation where you want to be, unless you're insanely fed, and even then, it's probably not 100% guaranteed. A smoke up coming out from MMY and Xiao 8 is they've just been chain smoking this game. Do they even have any in stock? No, this is the last smoke for 4.5 minutes, as they're going to use it to try to get a gank onto the Undying, it seems.
Yep, so that being said, nice little comeback for CDEC. You already talked about the smoke, which is coming in now. Problem is, there's no one on this side. Actually, I think we have another smoke coming up. It's a Spirit Breaker, Witch Dog, Undying combination. Tombstone 3 is up. Do they wait for a core, for anything? I mean, the Decay by now is level 6, almost level 7. That would be nice to have the ultimate, of course, for a fight. And to be honest, if they rotate as this group here into bottom, that would also be a very interesting fight. I think a fight they might be able to win. Instead, they could also go for the Shadow Fiend here in the mid to get vision on it. He's under the tower. Do they have any vision? It's also nighttime. Not the best time for a smoke gank because you can't really scout far. And it seems like they're not gonna find him.
But then again, they might find poor Xiao 8. They got vision with an Observer Ward that they placed as they're going forward, and that is a dead Crystal Maiden. She's going to get hit by a Decay, the charge forward, and there's not enough backup close by. They even get the bash. It's going to be a killing spree for XC, but now the Shadow Fiend's coming in from the north. He's going to land one raise onto Q, but that's about all she wrote. The follow-up damage isn't quite there. Wyvern's going to apply the Arctic Burn to Garter, as well as to XC. No, just trying to focus down the Undying, and they'll get him through, but under the Tombstone, this is a bad place to fight, especially with the Paralyzing Cast going back and forth between the Wyvern and the Quap. With Stampede, Queen of Pain's going to survive, and it looks like the Shadow Fiend's also going to make himself scarce. They'll try to focus down this Tombstone, but with another charge coming forward, XC is going to cancel that one. CDEC have 5 heroes in the enemy woods, but, well, that's going to be it. Eventually, they'll pull out.
Yeah, Shadow Fiend says, guys, I don't want to have anything to do with this. Let me farm. I really need my farm. So he's rotating top, and CDEC is trying to get back to the lanes. It wasn't a bad fight at all. Like, the Tombstone really did work. Too bad it was just not enough to actually get the Queen of Pain down. She was really low. There were zombies on her, but she still had a blink ready, even though it's just a level 1 blink. So everything was good. Haste Rune, going to the Shadow Fiend. right now. And the Ember Spirit, well, he tried to get that center with the chains, also doesn't really work out.
The push in mid, however, should commence from CDEC. The Dragon form is down, but even without it, they have 2 points of the Voodoo Restoration from the Witch Doctor, and could in theory keep on going, although it is a lot of time committed by a lot of heroes I'm not sure if they're comfortable with. This is time that the Shadow Fiend is farming top, and the Queen of Pain is farming bottom, so they're going to TP Undying down to the bottom lane to soak up the experience there, and just to pull the supports in the jungle to get a little bit of extra experience and levels. The Witch Doctor is going to be nearing his level 6.
Yep. And I think CDEC should use right now their advantage by just having that Tombstone, because those all-out fights, LGD, it still feels like they cannot bring out the Tombstone without like having significant losses on the way or taking significant damage. So pushing right now, charging something, that would be great. Right now, what did we actually see from the Spirit Breaker? We had that, of course, in the last fight, that charge where he just saw the Shadow Fiend and he was in the smoking, but before that, he never really, like, you know, left his lane early on, like level 2, 3, 4, and then just tried to get into the mid. Was, of course, also a mid that was well protected, plus the DK died twice there because of a Roman. We have a 4-man smoke heading towards south into, well, it seems like the enemy jungle. The problem is they can't really find anything, and LGD, I think they're well aware of what's going on. Something has to go on because so many people are missing in the mid. However, there's a charge on that poor Shadow Fiend. Even the Tombstone coming out, and that should be easy kill. Not even crazy ultimates committed. There is a Tombstone under the tower. Well, that's gonna fall victim to it, but you can see the HP. I mean, a tower takes, I have no idea how many hits on a Tombstone, but it's ridiculously many.
Yeah, they also commit all 3 of Ember Spirit's remnants to go for that kill, and even bashed him out of the damage range. It wasn't necessary at all. Winter Wyvern's going to kill off the tomb, so that's a little bit of gold for his support coming out from LGD, but a kill on the Shadow Fiend is going to be worth it for CDEC, even if they do use a lot. That said, LGD now have a window of opportunity where Yao picks up a fresh Blink Dagger and is ready to fight. If CDEC stick around here, that could be very bad for their team.
They're not going for it because right now Tombstone is down. The ultimate of the decay, I don't know how much is left there. Well, it would have been enough for a fight, I guess, but they also know the Shadow Fiend is, or was back within some seconds, and if you look on the map, they were right, because behind the tower, the entire LGD was waiting. Talking about waiting there, they were also waiting for a smoke, which is coming in right now. They go straight through the mid. There are no potential candidates right now on the map to go for, unless of course the Undying shows in the mid, which would be a bad thing. Then again, they run into a tower plus a Tombstone. Also bad news. In the mid, well, this tower might actually get soloed by Shadow Fiend. Whoever goes into that tower defense, like the Dragonite, might find himself in an awkward position, however. Oh, there's a charge, but they found already the Witch Dog in the back lines. There's a nice Tombstone. Everybody pretty much got it. And oh, that center being caught out. He's the victim of that gank. And even the Witch Dog buying back. Now, the question is, do they find any initiation? We have no ultimate for a ranged Dragon Tail, so it stays a 1-1 trade with a lot of gold wasted on the Witch Dog. I think that was a very greedy buyback, but he thought this fight is gonna take longer.
Even so, it's early enough in the game and Witch Doctor is low enough level to where that buyback isn't going to cost him too much, and if they get the tower immediately after the fact, I don't think it's a terrible choice. It's not like Witch Doctor was getting that much gold towards X. Anyway, Torrent Tower in mid is going to be dropped low with the Sonic Wave over 3. Nether Strike onto Xiao Wei. It's going to turn things around as the Crystal Man's healed up by the Winter Wyvern. XE trying for the charge out. The Tower Shot's chasing him and it's probably going to be lethal unless he stops and earns. In the meantime, they'll kill off the Witch Doctor. That is a dieback, but the Spirit Breaker does survive within inches of his life. Does get a little bit of extra earn healing before TPing home. It's going to be 2 kills for LGD. Although the tower is low, it doesn't fall down.
Yep, that tower is still standing. That's ridiculous on 28 HP. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of it. CDEC wanted to push, wanted to capitalize on the previous decent-ish trade. Instead, they're probably gonna lose their tier 2 here. Then again, CDEC, yeah, they're, oh no, never mind that. They're all coming in. We have a Tombstone, we have the ultimate, pretty much everything is ready. The DK still has some residual, and oh, he's gonna go for it, but there's the blink, there's the center, nice stun, and the DK is already going down, however. We have a Tombstone, it's really low, but the center ultimate being utilized here. It's absolutely beautiful what they do. It's a 1-1 trade, Crystal Maiden, and there is the Death Ward. Look at it go. There, the Shadow Fiend, he's taken one at least with him, and now the Witch Dog still somehow alive. He's getting healed up. Now finally the right clicks are getting him down. The Undying still working here. Stick charges, everything. Decay, that should do the trick. Queen of Pain going down. I don't think it's enough for more because also no zombies on the Winter Wyvern. It's gonna be a 3-for-3 trade unless I miscounted.
An absolute bloodbath inside that middle lane. A fairly even one too, slightly favoring CDEC when it comes to the metrics. They'll find themselves with about 300 more gold and 300 more experience, but honestly, I'm not sure if we can call that a straightforward win. It's a really fun fight to watch in all honesty, a very hectic one, a lot of small initiations. If there was a little bit of changes in positioning, that could have gone so very well for LGD, but CDEC pulled through. That tombstone did get quite a lot of value.
Yeah, to be honest, I was surprised CDEC was still going for this fight in a very decent fashion, because their Decay blew up. He casted, what, a Dragon Tail? I'm not even sure he got a Brief Fire off, but it was really just this initiation, and then 2 seconds into the fight, the Decay was down, and they traded only that for Crystal Maiden, which is obviously not like the craziest damage unless she get like a nice ultimate cast off. So that being said, I was really surprised CDEC was going for so much more, but I guess that's also the work of the Tombstone, the work of the Undying, like having a very nice ultimate healing and creep waves pushing into the tower, where he also got healed for a lot. That's why he got the Queen of Pain kill and made it sort of an even thing. We have, however, Queen of Pain might be charged. Yes, the charge is coming in. Well, she's getting interrupted on that one. That was a bad TP. She still has a blink going forward. Well, there's the Urn charge and everything. Ember is just gonna scout her out, and that's an easy kill right there. And I think they're gonna transition directly into the tier 1 tower here. Why not? Cliff is still avoidable, and at the same time LGD also saying, okay guys, you wanna trade? Fine, we're gonna get your tier 2 tower in the meantime.
They'll try as best they can. I'm not sure if they have enough damage to take this in its entirety. What's the TP status for CDEC? We have one on the Spirit Breaker, Dragon Knight, and Witch Doctor, so in theory they could defend, although it is going to be a little bit difficult for them.
Charge. Look at this. Center is being charged. They have an idea where they are. That's 1, 2, 3 TPs, and Crystal Maiden is somewhere on the way, but yeah, that's also not gonna happen. So in the end, that charge is not gonna lead anywhere, and everybody's just going back to farm. That being said, CDEC actually making a way better trade. This is a tier 1 tower, this is a Queen of Pain. The tier 2 tower push was very fast, very swiftly interrupted, so yeah, CDEC definitely making a good one. And talking about stats and goal and experience and whatnot, LGD with the last 2 fights, they actually lost a tiny bit of their also very tiny advantage. It was only 2k for 60 minutes game. I think it could have been better with some of the trades, but CDEC is really trying to stay into this and now trying to equalize those crafts. However, LGD pushing in forward. They have an Ember Spirit, invisible in the backlines. This is very, very interesting. Center looking for initiation. He needs to find that Blink Dagger.
In the meantime, the double damage DK is going to be charging forward. They'll charge through Xiao 8 as they destroy the Winter Wyvern. The Requiem's unwound as the Witch Doctor dies. I'm lagging out a little bit here, but we should still be able to follow this fight. The Xeon Ultimate's going to be cancelled. No killer off to a 2-for-1 trade at the moment, as maybe also goes down. The center after double edging is ripped apart, and Sylar is going to be able to blink out to safety, although only just is there enough to chase. Ember Spirit has drums, has phase boots, and is going to land the chains onto Sylar. The blink coming off of cooldown. Is it going to save his life? No, the urn is going to be lethal.
Oh Jesus, so it's a 2-for-5 trade. Talking about good fights and talking about staying into this, CDEC just did it. Very, very good fight. Unfortunately, there is not a DK left or anything like that, and we are also very early into the game, so we cannot really think about a Roshan at this point. I have to go back, just refill, but still, just from a farming and from an experience point of view, this was very, very good for CDEC. This is exactly the time they need to buy to get, for example, the Ember Spirit online. The Ember Spirit now, of course, that might be the right thing. Just get him more time. Give him another 10 minutes, and then he actually starts to hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just going to need more space on this map, and I'm not sure if he's going to get enough of it. But those last couple fights are really going to help CDEC. They bought themselves a little bit more time before the Shadow Fiend has his BKB, and before Centaur has his next item. It looks like it's going to be a Vanguard for you.
Yep, the Shadow Fiend is pretty much yeah, on a good way to his BKB. There's less than 1,000 gold missing for him. That should be, I don't know, 3-4 creep waves. Maybe he's gonna go in the jungle. Then again, he might not want to do it because, yeah, Ember Spirit is showing. Oh, but in the mid there's an engagement. They want to go here on the Dragonite, but he got Glimmer Cape. And now it comes to question, yes, slowed by zombies, not having the ultimate. This is of course really bad news. We have no coconuts right now that could fly out by the Witch Dog, and therefore, well, that's not really going anywhere. And also the Shadow Fiend rotating into mid. Still, it's like them just not finding the opening again. They just get the bottom stroke from the Tombstone, which is 150 gold, so that's easy.
I'm honestly surprised that maybe didn't hit the zombies. They do give him souls. It would have topped off his Necro Mastery, but still with 30, more than enough to take down this tier 2 tower that's already so very weak. Even though LGD lose the fight, they're still going to get the map control offered by the tier 2 is going to eventually be added to their tally.
Yep, pretty much. And, well, where is that Spirit Breaker going? He is back to base. He was afraid there might be actually a loop around of LGD through the dire jungle. That didn't really happen. The Ember Spirit, however, is at the moment farming, well, the Radiant jungle. Sure, why not? You can just go for it. He saw, however, someone. They know they're around here with that Observer Ward, so he's going back, playing it safe. He is now exactly 1,400 gold away from having his first Battle Fury, assuming that he might actually go for 2. And CDEC being smoked. Did they see this smoke, or do they just expect it? Because look, they just hang around like little campfire around the tier 2 tower. Nobody really dares to go anywhere.
It looks like they might have. They do have a pretty deep observer ward inside the Radiant Woods, but even so, they wanted to wait for this BKB up on the Shadow Fiend before going for their next move. And it looks like they're just going to go for a straight push. Their team at the moment has just received a big spike of power with that BKB. Shadow Fiend's going to be a lot more tanky on the front lines and can very easily rip apart CDEC's side if given enough backup support. And as long as they didn't use the Stampede to initiate, I think they should be just fine. We have the completed Vanguard up for the Centaur too. Is CDEC, are they actually going to look to defend this tier 1?
The Ember Spirit has a remnant here bottom. He could join the fight from the backlines, and there's the engagement of the Shadow Fiend. He does not have his BKB yet. There's the ultimate holding him in place. Nice Tombstone central placement, but the Spirit Breaker is the first one here to go down. That is just so much damage right now, but also LGD losing more and more HP. There is finally the ultimate of the center. Well, we have a tiny bit lag here on the Chinese server. However, we see the center going down. Now they try to just pursue LGD. There is the stun on the Shadow Fiend. No BKB anymore. The Undying trying to do as much as possible, and it seems to be enough. The Coconuts also flying. Queen of Pain being in the backlines, chopping her scream. The Cold Embrace actually holding that Shadow Fiend still alive. I have no idea how Crystal Maiden getting that kill on the DK in a trade for her own life. There is, however, still the Winter Byron. The chains are coming up. Arctic Burn, he could go somewhere. He's trying to TP, but he's not gonna make it. So in the end, the only survivor is the Queen of Pain already in the base. Still, CDEC winning those fights against the 10-second BKB.
Yeah, an impressive engagement coming out from them. The Tombstone placement was absolutely perfect. LGD weren't really able to focus down. They tried to just combat that AoE control of the Tombstone with the CM's ultimate and the Shadow Fiend's Requiem, but the CM ultimate was cancelled very quickly by an Ember Spirit Chains combo. Undying's going to be dropping low as he waddles back towards base, but that last fight is going to buy us some pretty important items for both sides. We have Ember Spirit with his Battle Fury, and Queen of Pain is very close to having her Ags.
Yep, and I just hope the Chinese server holds up with us. Like, we're still on a normal 300 ping. That's normal when you connect to China, but yeah, I don't know, like these FPS lags when the fights are starting. That's, I don't know, server load crumbling. 22-22, nice time to actually show grass just because it's such a funny number. CDEC actually, yeah, the advantage shifts towards them. It's tiny, barely worth to mention, but it's shifting. In experience, it already has been a nice advantage for quite a while now. There's a charge on the Queen of Pain. She still has everything she needs. There's the ultimate, and the Ember is coming in just for that rest of the damage that was missing. And that kill happening right there, putting the Ember on an unstoppable, and of course also opening all the gates for that tier 1 tower. While, of course, the Shadow Fiend took that tier 1 tower bottom.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty nice for CDEC. Ember Spirit's getting really close to the point where he's a major damage threat. Even with just the Battle Fury, he can still do quite a bit. now that he has enough levels to significantly spam out his Sleight of Fist. Tier 1 tower is going to fall in trade, so a fairly even tower exchange with CDEC getting the one pick off to tip the scales into their favor.
Yeah, I mean tier 1 for tier 1 and a Queen of Pain on top again, CDEC just taking the tiny bit better trade. And if they keep on doing this, because they do that already for the last 10 minutes or so, like these better trades, even if it's really just a tower difference or just one hero difference, yeah, they keep doing that and the advantage will grow and go. Well, LGD, they're still looking for solutions to make this somehow happening. Glimmer Cape on the way for the Winter Wyvern. Let's see about other items, because the Centaur is also not the tankiest heroes of all. He finally finished that Vanguard. But besides that, he's also not having like the prospect of crazy items income, and that sort of solo Queen of Pain laning and then swapping, it kind of worked out for some kills. But
middle lane.
The
jump is going to be dodged. Really nice remnant coming out from the Ember Spirit. Now that the Tombstone's on the ground with the Battle Fury cleave on too, they'll drop Mamiya very low. Winter's Curse will buy him some time, but not near enough with the Nether Strike following the stampeding Centaur. They'll kill off two, and now chase for more as they catch out poor Xiao 8 in the woods. The Ember Spirit is going to make quick work of that poor Crystal Maiden. Excuse me, and CDEC find themselves 3 kills.
Yeah, LGD falling apart here. This was such a... Well, in harsh words, I would say like half-assed engagement. They were like, okay, let's jump on it, and then bam, Remnant they used, and well, LGD was like, okay guys, that's bad. CDEC was like, yes, that's good, let's just go for it. So 3 kills up, and of course 1 tower down for LGD. The Shadow Fiend is trying to do some split pushing at least at the same time. He's even going for Talisman of Evasion right now, so trying to get some evasion. To be honest, I don't think that's gonna like really solve the LGD problem. Evasion is not really the key. It's overall the survivability and tanky of all of those heroes, and also the speed they could actually bring down a Tombstone. I mean, so far, not a single fight they managed to get the Tombstone down. Like, that Tombstone was always standing, always giving vision, giving the slows, and not to mention, of course, the damage, especially on low targets. So, yeah, that's why Undying is in the Chinese scene most of the time 100% ban. And look at this.
Well, that was cute. He's gonna charge through the creep wave spots maybe, and then just straight TP's out. He'll live. But yeah, I think you're pretty much right. The Shadow Fiend, the Talisman Evasion by itself isn't going to be enough, but once he gets full Butterfly, he can very easily kill off that Tombstone and be a damage threat in his own right. And I think that's kind of what LGD are waiting for. One item isn't going to do it, but if Shadow Fiend has like a Butterfly Scotty, that's where things could start turning into their favor again. That said, Ember Spirit's getting a lot of gold, almost up to 4,000 in the bank. No matter what this is, it's going to help aggressive fight so much more. If this is a BKB, I think that would be completely reasonable, or just going for more damage is also completely fine with the way that CDEC have been starting these fights. Ember Spirit has made himself very elusive. In fact, he hasn't died a single time in this game.
To be honest, I think he should just go for the Glass Cannon build. Like, really, just... I mean, right now they couldn't really get a grip on him. It's really the Centaur that they need for an opening, a long enough stun. Against everything else, you can pretty much just ram them out. The Queen of Pain did not go for an Orchid as I expected, for example, against the...
Ooh, charge. Into the Radiant Woods. It's gonna be cancelled. Fair enough. The Centaur was way too deep.
But they do some dewarding, which is now the indication that they want to go for Roshan. Of course, they're going to see the dewarding, which means LGD, they know that CDEC is putting an eye on that Roshan. It's a fairly late Roshan. I mean, it's 27 minutes in. Those teams were fighting and fighting, trying to get towers on towers. At this point, I'm really surprised they still remember that there is a Roshan. So King Kongor might be actually the next target here.
Well, let's just wait and see. Neither teams have the greatest of Roshan lineups, although they have teams that are good at fighting around the Roshan. But they'll catch out maybe. The Shadow Fiend is going to be Dragon Tailed. He can't even get off his BKB. He's going to go down, and CDEC find themselves with a huge window of opportunity.
That's free Roshan. Right there.
Unless the Shadow Fiend buys back, there's nothing that LGD can do about this.
Yeah, this is 50 seconds down, Shadow Fiend. Easy kill, of course, for CDEC, catching him out. I guess he could have known, simply because he saw them dewarding and warding around that area, and they established nice sovereignty around this. But yeah, he still took the risk, was the front line. That didn't really work out. The Spearbreaker, however, already going for the Queen of Pain. I don't think it's enough for a solo kill, but maybe now after Roshan someone is coming in. There's the TP. Yes, the Ember is trying to come in, but I think that's too far away. However, let's go for it. 17% and the ultimate coming out right now. No, he does not cast the ultimate. He's trying to go forward, maybe finding it. No, he's like, nah, not today. Let's just go for neutrals. I think he might have actually had a chance if he would have used the ultimate on the Queen of Pain.
The Dire's Courier is currently sitting on a shotgun for the Ember Spirit. He has the Daedalus up, a lot of firepower for him, and it was also carrying a gem. Yeah, that's being picked up by the Undying. This is so scary. If he gets a couple of Daedalus crits inside these fights, CM, the Winter Wyvern, heck, even the rest of the heroes are just going to melt.
Yeah, this is a casual Daedalus. When did you see the last time that a Daedalus gets fully delivered without the Crystallis being before in the inventory?
Hardly ever, especially as this early in the game. Maybe when you're looking at a super late game scenario, when you're still saving for buyback and whatever, and you have other items to hold on the slot, but yeah, just casual Daedalus on aggressive, he's a menace. There's really not much that LGD can do about it. There's going to be a charge over under the Shadow Fiend, probably cancelled by the Spirit Breaker, but yeah, this is a big window of opportunity with the double life as well.
Yep, absolutely. Now the Ember Spirit can be really that class cannon, that pesky little thing that really does everything on cooldown. I mean, he's not willing to give his life just like that away, but he can work on a tower without actually fearing too much. However, Centaur is already putting an eye on him. Like, let's see. Maybe they want to go for the initiation at the moment. Well, I think they're just gonna get that tower the easy going in. Or actually finding something here on the Crystal Maiden. She's invisible, but there's a sentry ward. 4 stuff forward. Nice play by LGD. There's still. Never mind that they don't even need that charge. BKB coming out by the Spirit Breaker, and there's the Tombstone. Maybe they can get the Tombstone down this time, but however, Centaur already down, and oh my god, Shadow Fiend in the mid of everything, just eating that ward up. There's the Cold Embrace, trying to put him in position, but it's 4 down. Again, Crystal Maiden, Queen of Pain is the only survivor. The buybacks have to come out. They're gonna lose, otherwise the tier 3 tower. Tombstone still working, but, well, the next creep wave was a tiny bit interrupted. However, we have, even with the Winter Wyvern, who just died, by the way, I just thought he comes back from the fountain, but he died. Even with him, I have no idea how they would defend this.
No, absolutely not. Shadow Fiend has buyback, but when he comes back, he's hardly going to pose a threat with this Aegis still on the Ember Spirit. Sonic Wave hits 4, and that's good and all, but that's not going to save this melee barracks. That fight started out reasonably well for LGD. There was a Winter's Curse over onto the Spirit Breaker, and that dropped him very low as the Ember Spirit was hitting him throughout all of that, but not near enough. He still survived a little bit after the fact that the Ember was never touched. Aggressive is still sitting on that HC Immortal, although they now have to deal with mid lane that is pushing in. It doesn't seem to matter. CDEC have blown this game wide open. There's so much pressure on LGD to get good initiations, and that's just something that they haven't had for the longest of times.
Yep, and I see the chat exploding simply because I said it in the intro already, guys. LGD is by far the favorite team here, just by chances and everything. I mean, some betting sites being on a 90-10 ratio, that's completely insane. But CDEC, they show why they would deserve way more percentage in the eyes of even some bettors. But the fact is, it's still a best of 5. They can still go for the full amount of games, but at the moment, CDEC, they are definitely one step closer to that 2-1 versus LGD and then having your match game. And talking about match game, this might be the opening here. BKB on, there's the ultimate on the Queen of Pain, and well, there's the Cold Embrace, keeping her alive at the moment. She still has everything she needs just to get away, but the opening on the Winter Wyvern was already there. His buyback is down. Crystal Maiden not even getting a second of her ultimate off. There is the nice disengagement of the Centaur Warrunner, but Crystal Maiden actually calls it. She's sick of that game. She doesn't want to die anymore.
GG, CDEC